for North Carolina this weekend against UVA, there's I'll say 3 goals, okay? And these are broad goals. I mean, in reality, there's 1,000 goals that every team has, right? You want to win on third downs. You want to win the turnover battle. You want to establish the 3 goals that I'm going to choose to highlight. 1, ready for this? We're going to get real crazy. Win. 2, keep Tez Walker electric. Find a couple plays, draw them up. I know North Carolina, NC State, you don't want the comparisons drawn often, but we've talked a lot about NC State drawing up creative ways to get KC Concepcion the ball. Now, that's because at times it feels like he's the only one being effective as a playmaker. North Carolina has a different thing, which is Tez Walker has been so electric and so dynamic since he came back, specifically in that Miami game, that he's going to be circled on the scouting report from this point forward, but you don't want to lose that dynamic ability. So get Tez, get him out there, get him rolling. 3, remind everybody who else is on the team. Omarion Hampton, he ran for almost 200 yards, a score, caught another touchdown in that same game against Miami. Come on, right? You realize how, I don't want to say frustrating it is, because players, if you ever ask them to their face, and definitely in a program that has it cranking like North Carolina does right now, they'll say it's not about who gets the credit, it's not about who gets the media love, it's about getting the win. But can you imagine being Omarion Hampton? You ran for almost 200 yards, scored a touchdown on the ground, good in the passing game, caught a touchdown through the air. You walk off the field, and what is everyone saying? Oh, my gosh, Tez is so amazing. Well, I had a pretty good game too, right? So this game against UVA is, if you're playing well, and obviously if you're not playing well, if you're not ready to go, if you show up flat, then you're going to have to change everything and just give yourself a kick in the pants, light a fire under your you-know-what. But if you show up and you're playing well, there is an element of you get to choose, right? Who's showcased? Who scores the touchdowns? UVA is giving up more points than anyone else in the ACC. So you get to go out there and you understand that you should win by a lot. Think of it like, I use this example all the time. Shaquille O'Neal talks about when he goes to, who calls him Shaquille O'Neal? Shaq.
Okay.
I used his government name. I don't know what his middle name is. Shaq talks about when he went to the Heat that Gary Payton and White Chocolate and Jason Williams were 2 of the better point guards he ever played with, because they recognized who needed the ball the best, right? Pat Riley could be on the bench screaming like, 4 low, get it to D-Wade, 4 low, get it to D-Wade. But if Shaq needed the ball, he had run up and down the floor, used a lot of energy, hadn't gotten a touch, Gary Payton would look at Pat Riley and say, got to get it to Shaq. He just understood, right? Now, if there is a game where it's, a 2-point game and there's, 4 minutes left, sorry, Shaq, I don't know if you've gotten the ball recently. If the best play is D-Wade, I'm going to D-Wade, right? If this is that finals against the Mavericks, I think it was against the Mavericks, where Dwayne Wade basically put the entire state of Florida on his back and said, I got you. Sorry, Shaq. Like, we got to get it to D-Wade. However, if you're playing the, I don't know, pick a bad team, Wizards, and you're up 20, that's where you get to feed guys who need it. That's where you get to feel for anger and see who's frustrated and get them the ball. Against UVA, for an offense like North Carolina that has Drake Maye, has Tez Walker, has Nate McCollum, has J.J. Jones, has Copenhaver out of the tight end position, has Omarion Hampton, has British Brooks out of the backfield if he's feeling back and healthy to his former self. With all of these different wide receivers and playmakers, UVA is an opportunity where you're like, hey, you know who hasn't gotten the ball a lot recently? Let's make sure he has 3 or 4 catches in a quarter, right? Let's make sure he has a drive that makes him go, oh, yes, this is a blast. And in the meantime, score 40-plus and get the style points we were talking about yesterday. Score 40-plus and get the style points. And what I mean by that is you ever notice, and I don't get political. I don't even really follow politics until it's election time, and I try to educate myself. But like 2-3 years before like a presidential election, you'll start seeing like a senator, and I won't even say what side. Just all of a sudden they're making like more high profile speeches. All of a sudden they're making appearances in swing states, and you're like, oh, I think they might be planning something, right? Now they haven't announced that they're running. They're just laying the foundation, right? Just in case they want to run, just in case they need to make it happen. They're planting some seeds here. Well, guess what? A college football playoff run to the college football playoff is similar because, you're not going to, you got to talk about we got to win 1-0, right? We got to go 1-0. We got to win this week. And then our goal is to win a conference championship. And we respect our conference enough not to look beyond that. And But at the same time, about midway through a season, the undefeateds, the one-loss teams with impressive resumes, it's like, oh, you're making some high-profile speeches, aren't you? Oh, look at this. You're buddying up with some of the lobbies. Oh, look at this. Why do you keep showing up in Iowa? It's like, oh, you're in swing states, right? So North Carolina, this is a high-profile speech for you. What I mean by that is score 40, be wildly impressive, long touchdowns, remind everybody that you have Drake Maye, this golden-armed, golden goose of a quarterback that's laying golden eggs, that you have Cedric Gray, that you have some of these defensive players. You're not just on offense, that you have Omarion Hampton. You're not just this high-profile passing game with an NFL quarterback. And let the committee see that. Because here's the thing, and I say this every year, the committee's going to say they watch every single game of every single contender. I haven't done the math, but I'm guessing there's not enough hours in the day, right? And they're usually all also they have day jobs. They're not going to watch the UVA UNC game. Definitely not live. Probably not in its entirety. They'll catch the box score and the highlights. Make the box score and the highlights impressive.
Yeah. Let this game be your resume game.
Just a game that, when you're playing, they got some tough games with Duke. They have later on, right? The NC State is going to give them problems just because of the rivalry.
Clemson on the road.
Clemson on the road is going to give them some problems just because it's Clemson on the road. Those games, win at all cost.
Those 3 games just got a lot more bigger than they already were
and
at the beginning of the season.
And you're not going to be thinking about style points there, right? You're just going to be thinking about points. You're just going to be thinking about winning the game. So take advantage of the chance you have against the worst defense in the ACC and an offense that not much better.
Yeah, the Cavs defense allowing 31.7 points per game. What's Carolina done through their first 6 games?
Well, I mean,
average 30 or more points.
Yeah, exactly. And getting better with the addition of Tez. So I'm looking at this for North Carolina, and I'm saying, have fun, man. Right? And we're going to talk with Mike Glennon later on in the show, and former NC State quarterback. He makes this point. This is college football, right? This is not Little League. You do not have a requirement to keep it close. Now, that's not to say you run a fake punt up 45 in the fourth quarter, but if you're up 2 scores and it's the second quarter, it's 14-0, and you want to keep rolling, yeah, you can call a fake punt there, right? You can keep throwing it deep into the third quarter if you want to. Virginia gets scholarships too, just like every other team gets scholarships. And if you want to not run up the score, but if you want to score a lot of points, very small difference there, feel free, right? Do what you got to do and go get what's yours.